Well, this is my cohort, Sergeant Toronto, and he and
Morning,
I-
Sergeant.
How's it going, sir? How are
Very
you?
well.
Steve,
And you're running the camera over there.
Steve.
Courtney's running the camera now.
Steve, you're a wild and crazy guy.
Oh, yeah, here we go. Here we go. They just want to be on another show. That's all. You go through. Where are you all from, sir?
I'm from Flushing, New York, Long Island, New York, North Shore.
Now
Long
we
Island.
heard it in New
Okay,
York.
New York.
It's New York thing. It just a
Where do you live?
Houston, Texas.
We're back in Texas again. It's in Texas.
I've been in Houston for like 32 years, something like that, since May of 1979. 33 years. Excuse me.
Okay, now let's get right down to it. I'm gonna put you on the spot. What's the favorite baseball team?
The Mets, of course.
Oh!
I used to.
It gets worse.
I used to sneak into Shea Stadium, the old stadium. We used to climb the fence, and we used to go like 50, 60 games a year.
50 or 60?
Yeah,
Wow.
19.
That's more than Cubs fans.
What's that?
Yeah, it's more than Cubs fans.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was part of the, when Leo DeRoche was manager. Well, I'm getting off the subject here, but
No, this is the show.
we ran Leo out of town,
Well, you know what's
1960.
interesting? Here's a question. I'm going to give you the answer, but it's like people hear about the Soldiers Family TV and radio, and I always ask them, "What do you think our number one show is?" And I'm going to give you the answer, and right away they go, "Welcome home, troops. Talk to the troops. Go through." Our number one show is how to buy a used car. So you see that dead silence, like what? To go through it. Well, you know what? We have a diverse program, and we do how to buy a motorcycle. How to get veterans benefits. We have Dr. Robert Petzl from the Undersecretary of the VA. A special shout out. I forgot to say because you said something that really touched us here. We always pay tribute to those who have paid the supreme sacrifice, and always a shout out to Harvard Marine Foundation, Georgette and Roy Frank. Their son, Lance Corporal Phil Frank, was killed April 8th, 2004. We miss you, Phil. We miss you. Lance Corporal Philip John Martini. Say hi to Dad down here in Chicago. Actually killed April 8th, 2006. So to all of our Marine friends out there, and you have a little Marine background there.
Yes, sir. As a 2531 field radio operator.
Okay,
in the
slow
Marine
down,
Corps.
25, 35, 40. What?
That's a military occupational specialty, MOS.
Okay.
2531 field radio operator. I was
Wow.
a ground pounder with the radio is what it amounted to. And I was stationed at Camp Geiger, and we used to call it Geiger Island.
And where is that?
It's part of Camp Lejeune, North Carolina.
Okay.
Right. And
Everybody's going, yeah, he's not in Pendleton, so that
Oh,
doesn't
no,
count.
no.
You know.
Right. And then I got out in 1975, 78. I got out in 78, and I had like a long break of service. And I went in to get, I'm a stagehand, and I rejoined to really get out of a dark theater. At least 2 weeks out of the year, I'm working backstage ballets at
Sure.
operas and stuff, just to something different, and that was in '93. And
So you re-enlisted?
re-enlisted. No, I went to the Navy, and they put me in the Seabees because it's kind of like my job-related occupation.
So I think one of the myths that's out there is that if you go into one of the military branches, that's where you are. But now you're talking Navy, you're talking Marines.
With the Marine Corps, you're going through Marine Corps boot camp. Supposedly it's the toughest, and you kind of.
I don't know about that. Sorry.
Kind of giving away. You're wild, Steve. Kind of giving a waiver on the other branches and boot camp. So the basic training, you get other type training, but you have to go through basic again, and that's. They didn't push it with me anyway. They were talking about it, but I must have fallen through the cracks or something,
Well,
Steve.
and you're here today.
Yes,
How
I
about
am.
a shout out to your family and troops around the world?
Okay, just be safe and hurry on back. That's about all I can say.
There's we're gonna ask the two young men behind the camera to come up here real quick. George, come on up, say hi.
Come on, George.
Come on. Oh, see now everybody leaves me. Okay, here we go. Oh, there we go. We're gonna unhook. Now the modern technology today.
Yeah.
There we go.
Hi,
George.
George. Good-looking soldiers. You got to pull me up here.
Yeah, there we
What is
go.
wrong with you?
And we always say, thanks to everybody who's listened today. George, your background, you do have a military background. Tell us a little bit about.
Somewhat, not nearly as much as
There you
these
go.
people. I'm
There you go.
just a little blip on the screen. I spent 4 years in the Army.
Army!
I was a armored reconnaissance scout, which is also known as a portable pop-up target.
So you were the target?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sadly, but
Okay.
that's the Army. I think they still do great education benefits. So I put my 4 years in the Army. I always called it 4 years of foxholes equals 4 years of a college education. Got a degree in marketing and management, dual degree. Thought about going back in several times. Got married. got divorced.
Just
And
keep
by
going
that-
here.
by that
We got an hour.
We got
an hour.
excellent. How much more time? Really? No, but anyhow, only spent 4 years in. I did want to go to Germany. Put in 2 requests to go to Germany, so they sent me to Korea. But nonetheless, got out, got a great college education. Have no regrets at all at having served. Highly recommend doing it for any young people out there who are looking for ways to better themselves. Eventually ended up here at ICB as a
Illinois Center for Broadcasting. One of the people that are in the audience today is Courtney. Say hi, Courtney.
Hi, Courtney.
Okay. Who actually we met at a local pub of a friend of ours, exchanged business cards, and is actually responsible. So now you're responsible, okay, for us being here. So we'd like to say thank you very much. Very well. Young man behind the camera, shout out to your friends and family real quick.
Hey everyone, also out to Lieutenant Colonel Jeff Hannon, who's up at the Pentagon, old Scout friend of mine.
You want to introduce the young man standing next to us here real quick?
Joey
We're
Zaleski.
going to invite everybody back in. Good morning.
Morning.
How about a shout out to your friends and family out there?
I would like to shout out to my mom and my dad and everybody else in my family because I do have a little bit of a military background in the troops. My grandfather was on the sub to capture the U-505. So.
Very nice. Very nice. Just to go through it. Shout out to the troops.
Shout out to the troops. We love you and we hope to see you all back real soon.
Good job. Good job, sir. Let's bring everybody back in. We want to say thank you so much to the Illinois Center for Broadcasting. If you're thinking about a career or a job change, go to beonair.com. And Courtney, thank you. Tim White, Patrick Johnson, Bob Mills, and to everybody right down the line. Let's start with Command Sergeant Major Thomas. Shout out to the troops.
Yes, and I'd like to give a shout out to the troops, and I also like to give a shout out to the families. The Army is the strength of our nation. The soldiers are the strength of our Army, but the family is the strength of our soldier. So I'd like to give a shout out to all the families, especially mine, to my wife Dolores and my daughter Sarah. Hua.
There you go.
And even generals have families. I've got a wife that's been with me for 32 years. I have 3 children. One of those was an Army sergeant. And I got to tell you this funny story. He was an Army sergeant in Ramadi in some very, very tough times.
What is his first name?
Kane. Kane
You
Wells.
say hey to Kane.
I sure will.
All right.
So we were and I happened to have a chance encounter with seeing him in Camp Virginia, Kuwait. We're going through a dining facility. We're in line, and the guy checking the ID cards, he says, Wells, okay, go ahead. And then he sees me behind him. He says, whoa, you must be brothers. And I said, absolutely. Only 30 years removed. But,
Did you promote him?
no, that wasn't in my unit, but
Okay.
I would have. He became a sergeant and got out and used his GI Bill, became a very successful accountant. So I'd love to say shout out to my 3 children, my mother, who was a husband of an Army Air Force cook, whose son became a general. And
Wow.
I really appreciate all that my parents have done for me and the great families that I'm involved with and the larger Army family that
What's
you
mom's
represent.
first name?
Melrose, and she's 90 years old right now.
And she's still around.
Still around, still kicking.
Melrose, did a good job. Did a good job. And I'm standing right next to you, Colonel. Thank you so much for being here today. A little bit of fun. How about a little bit of talk out there?
Well,
Say,
I've
hey,
already,
come on in, come
I've
on
already,
in.
congratulated and extended a shout out to my daughters and my fiance. So, Mom, Dad, thanks very much for teaching me how to climb the ladder, and Mom, for you teaching me how to say excuse me on the way up. So, and to my sisters who've supported my career all this time, and to all the families around the world who are supporting their soldiers, Marines, sailors, and airmen around the world and what they do. Thank you for that and for the opportunity here today.
Well, one of the nice things, Captain Sheets, Sergeant, come on in real quick. Final shout out to the family and troops.
I'd like to say hello to my mom and my sisters.
Hi, Mom.
And also, once again, to the troops, thank you very much. And for all the families there who support the troops. Without you, it would be hard for us to do our jobs. Thank you.
And standing right there next to you, Sergeant, shout out to the family.
I'd like to shout out to the family, but I'd also like to say that the Army has been a wonderful career for me. I've seen places like I've lived in Panama, I've been to Argentina, Peru, Paraguay, Brazil, Colombia, and I'd like to say that if you want to become a journalist, this is the best job in the military, and I just want young folks to know, young men and women to know that can become a journalist in the Army. And the Major General wanted to to give a shout out as well. One
And
more.
we'll end the show with a special thanks out to Brigadier General Hanley at Fort Sheridan, Lieutenant Colonel Aycock, our friends, Lieutenant Colonel Nathan Bond, B-O-N-Ds, thank you, sir, Brandy Schiff, downtown, Michael Scheck, up there at Fort Sheridan, Tim Turpin, United States Army, thank you so much. Major General, final words from you on the Soldiers
Absolutely.
Family Radio and TV talk
I
show?
certainly would love to say thank you to all the generals within the 75th throughout this country and who are training in Korea and Saudi Arabia and Jordan right now. But in recognition of all you're doing for our families, I'd like to present you a challenge coin also. This is what a commander is given the honor to be able to present, in my case, as a commanding general, for your excellence in communicating all the great values that are important to us in the military, and especially the Army. It's emblazoned with the 75 that's on the Army flag. As you look below the coat of arms, you'll see the year 1775. That's the year our Army was created, the Continental Army, under our first general, George Washington. And from that year, we take the emblem that's on our patch, and I offer it to you with great pride and honor for all you're doing for our families. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. We always get that. You know he's going to get me. You know he's going to get me. Let me tell you something. This coin will now be with me. I will hold this on my person. We'd like to thank everybody, all of our troops, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, everyone who was kind enough to join us today. Remember what we always say, if you can't stand behind our troops, we suggest you stand in front of them. Godspeed. And as we always say, good night, Chester. SFTVR.com.